There are some major updates in QuickBooks Online towards VAT, and I think it's time that you're up to date to make sure that you know exactly how VAT works in QuickBooks Online. This video has been a long time in the making, but I'm so happy it's here. Let's have a look at those new VAT updates. Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Aaron Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks chap on the internet, and also head of accounts here at Bookkeeping. Now in this video, we're talking about how QuickBooks Online has just changed the game for VAT purposes and for the better. Now ever since Making Tax Digital and VAT has become a thing, QuickBooks Online has been essential for businesses for filing their VAT return and making sure their VAT return's correct. Now these adjustments that have come through are absolutely essential in making sure that we have ways to have confidence in what's being filed and making sure that we know exactly what's going on. So let's look at some of the new updates that have hit the VAT return so that you can feel confident and ensure that you're feeling happy with how VAT has been dealt with in QuickBooks Online. Let's have a look. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Some of these updates that have appeared here are so fundamentally important that it almost feels like, how did we live without them in the past? Well, fear not, because they're here now and they're going to change the way that you do your VAT return. Let's have a look at the first one. First one is I go to the taxes section in VAT and I go to prepare my return. And I go to mark as filed or file by MTD, whichever way around you're doing it. Then normally what would happen is it will generate a journal entry based on basically moving the VAT from your VAT control account to your VAT suspense account. And the idea is that your VAT suspense account should always be how much money you owe HMRC, but your VAT control account should be a collection of the VAT you've collected over the life of the business. And when we used to press mark as filed or submit our VAT return, then what would happen is that journal entry would be generated on the day that you submitted that return, which logically I suppose makes sense, but from a reconciliation point of view caused so many issues. Because what we want to do as accountants is we want to be able to reconcile that VAT control account so that we know what's left in that VAT control account is correct. And we can't do that if we're having to move around journal entries and put things in the right place, etc, etc. Now though, the update is that when I go to my search bar, have a look at the journal entry, and that journal entry has now been set to the quarter end. A huge change, and one that makes it so much easier for us to make sure that we can get everything correct. Speaking of some huge changes, you'll notice that I just then marked as filed my VAT return. I didn't submit my VAT return via MTD. Well, if you've marked as filed your VAT return, then what you're saying is you've submitted it elsewhere. And typically this is designed for people who have actually submitted it in a different piece of software. Maybe they're moving over to QuickBooks, maybe they're moving from a different QuickBooks file, or maybe they're just trying to keep up to date with stuff that's been submitted so that they can continue to submit within QuickBooks Online now. Either way, the idea of marked as filed is really powerful. You're putting in historical VAT returns, or you're putting in data that should reflect about VAT returns that have been submitted elsewhere. And this is especially important in that first period of MTD, because you need to align QuickBooks to what QuickBooks is expecting to file. If your first MTD period is the 1st of April, then you need to have your final period on QuickBooks to be 31st of March, for QuickBooks then to be able to start the MTD process. Marking as filed is a really important tactic. It's been there for a while. All we need to make sure is that when we go to edit VAT and edit settings, is MTD is currently turned up. Then instead of submitting via MTD or preventing me to submit via MTD, it now gives me the option to mark as filed. Now historically, once I marked as filed, that was it. If I wanted to make any amendments to that file, I'd have to contact customer support, get them to unfile it, but not no more. You see now, that exact return we've just filed, I can go into by pressing view return, and I now have the option to unfile that VAT return at the bottom, meaning I'm now in control of making sure that everything's right. And I can unfile VAT returns, so then go back and prepare it again, maybe make adjustments, whatever I need to do. I now can unfile and refile to my heart's content. And that to me is a really, really important update. The next update is all to do with your download audit report. Now the audit report, which is found under this little drop down arrow here and download audit report, is a really powerful solution in QuickBooks Online. The idea of the audit report is to give you a breakdown of everything you're about to submit to HMRC on behalf of QuickBooks. It tells you tax liability reports, it tells you VAT 100, it tells you VAT exceptions, it tells you no VAT transaction. It's giving you everything you need to have confidence before you press that submit button. But historically though, this VAT audit report used to contain errors, and those errors was in form of an exception report, because exceptions are crucial within QuickBooks Online. Essentially an exception is basically saying that you filed something previously in QuickBooks Online, but then you found out you need to amend it. Either it's something you completely omitted in a previous return, or it's something you put in a previous return that had contained an error. If you make an adjustment to that now, then it's going to appear in your next return as what we call an exception. And exceptions are crucial. You should be understanding each and every exception that you file through QuickBooks Online. And you should be making sure that that exception itself isn't an error. Because what you're saying with an exception is you're admitting that there was a mistake in a previous return. So you need to be making sure you're on top of those. Now, the VAT audit report historically didn't include exceptions, not at least on the VAT 100, which is the amount that you're about to say that you're happy to submit to HMRC, the amount you have to pay or the amount you're going to refund. But now, massive change, because they now include the VAT exception report as well. So if you have got an exception report, you can now see that report there, and then you can deal with it accordingly. We love this change in QuickBooks Online because it means that VAT audit reports become something that we can rely on each and every time. As a bonus tip for you as well, you can amend your VAT audit report. Jump into the report section, over to reports, over to the manage reports tab, and this VAT audit report here is fully customizable. So maybe you want to add some extra reports on there. It's going to make your life easier. And speaking of extra reports that you want to include on there, I couldn't think of anything better than our brand new report designed for cash accounting, where it's going to tell you what's outstanding. See, cash accounting is a very useful scheme for most businesses. The idea is if you haven't been paid for your invoices or you haven't paid for a supplier yet, then you shouldn't be able to claim or be charged that VAT. Whereas on accrual accounting, if you raise a sales invoice or if you raise a bill, you will then see that information reflected directly on your VAT return. So cash accounting is designed to help people may have large debts, and instead of having to pay the VAT before they've received the money, or worst case pay VAT for something they may never receive, then they have the option only to pay VAT over when it becomes cash accounting. Now, it's a wonderful scheme, but prior to this update I'm about to show you, it was always a little bit tricky to be able to make sure that we had the right figures in QuickBooks Online and able to reconcile what was left. Now though, if I go to standard reporting and I find a report that's based on my debtors, and I go to my customization option and I go to rows and change columns, then you'll notice we now have a brand new column here called outstanding VAT. Tick that box, run report. Now it's going to tell me how much VAT is still outstanding on this particular debtor, giving me the confidence then to go, excellent, that's how much I should have left over. And when I run my VAT return, I can see how much VAT should be still left in my VAT control account because I'm not yet paid for it to push it over. This is a huge update in QuickBooks Online. It means that us accountants and you clients can have the opportunity to have much more confidence and reconcile your VAT control account much more accurately based on the information there. And this is the sort of report that I would always include in my VAT audit report going forward, because then I know that I've still got this VAT to pay over if and when I get paid from my customers. Great little update, and one that completely changes the game in my opinion. And the final small update I want to talk to you about is about the adjustments they've made. Flat rate scheme is completely supported by QuickBooks Online, and all I need to do is put a little tick box in here, put a percentage in, and then I'm off to the races in flat rate scheme. But what changes have they made? Well, first of all, if I went to prepare my return and I wanted to look at some information in a little bit more detail, Then as you can see here on the report, not only does it show the amount of VAT that should be there anyway, but it's also going to tell you what the VAT element would be based on flat rate scheme, to give you a bit of indication of what VAT you collected versus what you're going to be paying over. And that can be great for understanding the flat rate scheme in a little bit more detail. Furthermore, if I click into the flat rate scheme transaction, then it tells you at the bottom here on the transaction what they believe that transaction is going to be. So in this case, the VAT on the £5 was £1, but the 42p over here is based on the 6.5% rate that we included. So straight away we can see that we collected £1, we're going to be paying over 42p, giving us confidence and understanding of if the flat rate scheme is correct for me. And there we have it, subtle but amazing changes to your VAT process within QuickBooks Online. Don't forget, QuickBooks Online still has the wonderful VAT error checker. So as soon as you go to file that return, make sure you utilise that error check your return. By far one of the strongest ways we can recommend that our clients are getting their VAT return right each and every time. It's going to tell you what items are not going to be reported on the VAT return. Always worth reviewing to make sure they're correct. What transactions you may have missed, so any transactions you haven't reviewed yet on a bank account, any duplicates, any inconsistent VAT codes, and any exceptions that appear in there. Finally, a nice little table here of all the VAT codes used, so you can look at consistency, and then the opportunity to review your largest and your smallest transactions. Once you then press the prepare VAT return, and you've already gone through that VAT error checker, you're going to be super confident that everything's all correct, because you've just gone through and let QuickBooks do that error check for you. If QuickBooks looks like it's the right solution for you, and honestly it's one of the best solutions that we can give to our clients to make sure they've got things done correctly, then head over to our Boffix store where we can give you discounted versions of QuickBooks Online. We can even give you a discount if you're already paying for QuickBooks. So head over there and see if we can save you any money or not. And there we have it, a way of looking to make sure that you're up to date with all the new VAT features. I absolutely love these features, and I'm hoping these new subtle features will continue to be added to QuickBooks Online, because it's the features like this that make it so it's so much more efficient for people like ourselves to support small businesses. It gives us the opportunity to be able to support more clients, gives us that opportunity to make sure we're more confident with the data for our clients, and it just gives us that emphasis to be able to stop having to worry about little things like, is our VAT control account correct, to actually then starting to look at the bigger problems that clients are facing. And that is a really important thing. So hats off to all of the people involved in making these small adjustments, because I think they're going to be absolutely crucial for small business advisors going forward. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, they deserve a statue outside QuickBooks Online for finally making sure that the dates on the journal is the date of the period end. Yes! My name's been Aaron Patrick. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure that you do the like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe even share the channel around to your friends. The more people we can get to know about the recent changes in the VAT return, the more people we can make sure that are having confidence in making sure their VAT return is done correctly. And I think that's a really important task. So please go out there, like, subscribe, share, all of that stuff. It really does make a difference. And thank you to each and every one of you for your continued support. My name's been Aaron Patrick. As always, this video has been an absolute pleasure to do for you. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye for now.